Hi, this is Joven Baltazar and welcome back to the channel. Today I'll be showing you how I made this coffee table all from wood scraps and slabs that came from a tree that was actually destroyed by Typhoon Yolanda back in 2013. So sit back, relax, and I hope you enjoy this video as much as I enjoyed making this coffee table. Stick around. All my work did not start before the milling. And the milling was done by this guy here, Rodolfo Centino Jr., but we call him Dodon. He's been helping us with a lot of the milling for our house repairs and building. Now, this tree right here, like I said, was destroyed by Typhoon Yolanda. So it's been sitting there for 8 to 9 years, just rotting. It's an Acacia tree. These are the slabs that we're going to be working with. The first work I did on this table is removing the bark. Now, some people prefer leaving it on, but according to the pros I've seen, they actually recommend chiseling them off because the bark is soft wood that will eventually lead to the decay of your furniture in the future. Now, as far as sanding goes, I did a lot of grits. I did 80 for the first grit, which I spent most of my time when it came to sanding, because that is the first grit that will actually shape the wood. Since I don't have any router or planers to flatten my slabs, this is what I used to flatten my slabs. You're gonna see me do a lot of sanding and flipping back and forth that I did not expect. This tree was owned by Brian and his family. If you don't know Brian, I'll put a card up here for you to see the video that introduces him when we went fishing. It's quite a fun video. Now, him and his family were so kind, giving most of the slabs to me and my family. And because of their generosity, I'll be making a lot of stuff, and this coffee table is just one of them. This right here is one of the corners that I found one of the most satisfying things when making this table, rounding out the edges of this. And this one here I decided to saw off because it looked like crab claws, and it's just not the look I'm going for. I like the fact that this slab, or these slabs right here, had a cove-like shape, and that is what's going to make our table here one of a kind, unique, and a character that other tables just simply will not have. No slabs are ever going to be the same. Now the second grit I use for sanding is 120, and after that I made sure to remove all of the dust before moving on to the next grit. I water popped in between grits, then let it dry for 20 minutes before sanding all over. Water popping will raise the grain before sanding all over again, and this results to a better finish. And the pros say that if you don't water pop, then you are simply missing out. And these are the grits. Now with the pencil marks right here that I'm doing is just to make sure that I evenly sand the slabs, making me not stay in one spot for too long and miss other spots. Now these edges are important to round them out a little bit because I have kids at home and I don't want them to get cut or slip and bump their head on the edge of this and crack open their heads. You know, you don't want that. So it's important that I round it out as much as I could. It would have been a lot easier if I had a router, but we don't have that. And this is after all the sanding. Now we went from this right here to this. After calculations, I came up with 251 inches of lumber that I need for the legs and the design I made for them. And if you're wondering what this is, this house here that we're building is actually a cottage-like lounge thingamajig that we were building behind our home. And sadly, we had to put a halt on the building of it because, well, it's a lot more expensive than we thought. But it's okay. It's not like we're stopping. We're going to be resuming once we decide the time and budget for it, and it's going to be sometime soon. And one of the things that I love about moving to the province is this. You know, when I was living in the city, I've always wanted to do woodwork. Even when I was still living in San Jose, California, I've always wanted to, but because of the hustle and bustle in the city, work life, and the neighbors being so close to one another, I couldn't do this. Now that I'm here out in the open, anything is possible.
Nobody's not gonna hurt me.
So if you happen to like woodworking and if you want to begin doing this, I strongly suggest trying and living it out in the province. Now this right here I'm making is a half slab. It would have been a lot easier if I had a table saw doing all these cuts before I break them down. But since I don't have a table saw, that's okay. We'll use what we have. The only tools I used in making this is a drill, a hammer, a chisel, a saw, and the grinder that I borrowed from my friend Omar. Now, today is sunny, but I gotta be honest with you, this table here did not happen overnight. It actually took a lot of time because of the rain. I don't have a workshop, you know, I don't have a shed where I can do this, and I don't want to do this inside the house because of sanding and all the sawdust, obviously. And so I had to wait for good days, which was hard to come by during the rainy season here, especially in the province of Leyte. Rain just tend to dwell in this place, you know. I've never seen so much rain.
Okay.
But I love the place nonetheless. So here, as far as the leg's concerned, I did 3 grits on this. I did 80, 120, and 150. That's it. This is the bottom side up, and I'm doing this because I just don't want the head of the screws to be scratching the floors once this is built. And this is exactly why you don't want to deal with wood that is not fully dried. I don't know what these are, but they look like small ants.
On my table.
Baka anay itong mga to. I don't know.
Got it.
Pero it's kind of gross, right? But you know what? Nothing is gonna stop us. If I miss out on anything that you want information on, don't be shy to leave a comment and ask your question. Or just to simply say hi, comment down below. This is a small YouTube channel, so I respond 100% to all my comments. And you can see that. So I glued on and screwed on 6 of these legs. And then here, I'm not screwing the legs onto the table yet. I'm just marking the spots where I'm going to be inserting the threaded inserts that I'll be using. I don't know what that thing in the middle is, but it's probably an ant that got squished, got caught in the crossfire. Oh well. What I'm doing here now is making sure that the joints are flush with one another. Because the wood is not perfect, it's not precise, it's not angled perfectly, I have to make it look like it was designed that way. What I'm doing here now is filling up the gaps with glue and sawdust. And I know it looked bad with the gaps like that, but it's actually pretty sturdy because of the amount of screws that I put on there. And here I'm just making sure that I sand it down so that it's evenly flushed as much as possible, making it look like it's seamless and beautifully designed. As I said, it rained a lot. It rained, and it rained. As far as staining this, I did 3 coats, and I sanded in between. The grit that I used for the legs is 320 after each coat. Now these are the threaded inserts that I'm talking about. Now these are not real threaded inserts. I could not find it anywhere here. But these are anchors, and if you are an experienced woodworker, let me know where I can find good threaded inserts. These will be where I'm going to screw on the legs on these anchors that I'm using as threaded inserts. When I first made these holes, these anchors fit in, but I had to do a lot of hammering, so I had to make sure that the next few holes will be a little bigger so that the anchors will go right in a little bit better, just like that. Here I'm putting sliders. This table is going to be on concrete floors, and if later down the line we have wood floors, we're going to have to change that later down the line. This is beeswax, and it's food safe. I did 2 coats of this. And I sanded 600 grit in between, just by hand. Gonna take off a little bit of the heat. Here you can see the difference between the slabs. Though this table is not perfect, it's what I can call my own. My design, my work, my coffee table. If you're still with me and watching this up to this point, then please hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel and hit that bell for notifications for our upcoming videos. I would really appreciate it. And I can't thank you enough for the support you're giving me so far.